Hello ICEMSurf fans, and welcome to this What's New presentation of the key highlights of ICEMSurf 2022. My name is Nick McFerrin from the Dassault Systèmes CATIA Design IPS team, and I'm delighted to be sharing the latest ICEMSurf enhancements today. CATIA ICEM is our mature parametric and associative Class A solution inside CATIA V5 and 3D Experience. The ICEM Design Experience, we call IDX, is our exciting new styling and Class A app on the 3D Experience. But we're here today to talk about ICEMSurf, our legacy explicit Class A solution, setting the industry standard for surface refinement around the world. Each year we add many new customer requested enhancements to ICEMSurf. This year we have been very busy, adding 18 enhancements and 3 new commands. Here we have the ICEMSurf product portfolio, where we can see the specialized add-on modules, interfaces and educational licenses available. For this 2022 release, we have dropped the need for the K20 license, which enabled the third-party Theorem Solutions CATIA V5 interface, because we can import CAT parts and CAT products with the base K24 professional license at release 2022. And let me remind you that when a student is enrolled on a course teaching ICEMSurf, they can get a free homework edition to use at home. Let's jump right into the highlights. So here we have the full list of what we delivered in version 2022. I'll not read them all out to you, as I'd rather just show you, but you can see we have enhancements in modeling, ergonomics, analysis, data workflow, and visualization. We're starting off with a great time saver in Fillet Plus, Auto Spine. You will recall that previously 2-length spine and all variable fillets required you to select a spine for the computation. Well, now in version 2022 we have the Auto Spine feature, which, if you don't pick one, will generate it for you. To work, the input surfaces need to intersect or share a common edge. The great news is the spine definition will be stored with the fillet in the database, so like other advanced fillets you can edit it later with the Pipette Plus. Take care not to delete the spine because it is needed if you need to edit your fillet later. Let me show you how it works. Okay, let's go for Fillet Plus. I'm going to change it to one that has a spine, so 2-length spine. You see the button has become available to us. So I'm going to start with these surfaces on the first half, 1, 2 and 3, and then on the other side these two. Okay, now the prompt is saying pick curve or end selection for the automatic creation of the spine curve. So normally I'd have to pick a curve, but there isn't one here, so I'd have to create it or intersect them or something. But now, no, I'm just going to push OK. Let's see what happens. Watch closely. So we got a yellow line just appear there, so the system has now generated a curve for us, and there's our fillet. Okay, so if I come out of the command, you'll see, so there's my curve running down the theoretical. And now because it's a Fillet Plus in 22, I can go back into the command, and with my pipette, I can pick on it like this, and then I can make a change. So let's make it 15 by 20. Why not? Let's see what happens. And boom, there we are. We have an associative fillet. Next up is a nice little enhancement to the way duplicate works in feature design. We have added a checkbox here so you can leave duplicate switched on. So each time you press OK, first a duplicate is made and then that duplicate is transposed by the feature design process, leaving the original where it is. Note that if you carry on and perform a second feature design operation, the result of the previous operation becomes the reference surface. If you don't check the box, the old behavior remains the same. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here's feature design. I'm going to select this surface, this text here. That's what I want to feature design onto the tire. So my reference surface is going to be this one, and my modified reference is going to be this surface inside the tire wall. Now, if I just push OK without ticking the box, you know what's going to happen. The text is going to jump onto the tire like so. So I'm going to undo that. And now we put the tick box on. It's very straightforward. And push OK. and it's going to duplicate the geometry first and then transpose it. This gives me the chance now to continue around the tire with changing my reference surface to here and my modified surface to here, and we repeat the process to finish off the tire. All done. This is one of my favorites for the 2022 release. Just like Fillet Plus, we have added the 2 pipette buttons to the flange command. The first pipette can be used to grab all the parameters from an existing flange, so no more detective work required. Of course, this only works for flanges created in version 2022 or newer. The second pipette, the Pipette Plus here, this is the most interesting one. Not only does it grab all the parameters like the first, but also the associated references, which means we now have an associative flange, which remembers how it was created and can be updated should the requirements like a tooling line or split angle be changed, or even if the input surfaces have been modified. This is a huge time saver. Let's have a look at it in action. Okay, so here we have this part that we're working on. We need to put a couple of flanges or a flange across the top area here. Let's take a little bit of a closer look. So normally when I go for a flange, I just pick the edge that I want. There we go, these two, and the system gives us what we did last time. So we can then modify the model just to make it fit and guess. Of course, we could measure what we want. But what we can do now is we can use the new pipette here, retrieve the parameters from another flange. If I click on this one, that now automatically puts all the numbers, all the parameters, all the approximation information from this flange into the new one, which is fantastic. So that's saved me a lot of time and a lot of guesswork. Taking this up to another level, let's say we want to make a change, so we want to extrapolate the top edges of these 2 patches on the front here. So let's go for an extrapolation. So I'm going to extrapolate these two edges like so. Just pull that up a little bit. Okay, so now what happens if we go back to our flange, we can use the Pipette Plus button. We can pick on this. And look at that, in one click it's updated itself. It remembered the reference and the flange has updated itself. Okay, so we can take this further. We can finish this off. I'm just going to rematch this little blend surface here onto its neighbor like so. Let's do that again. There we are, very good. And then we can go back to the flange command and with the Pipette Plus, pick on this one. And there we go, look at that, that's updated too. So let's make one more change. These flanges were referencing the current plane I've called a ridge. Here it is. And what happens to these flanges if we need to make a change? Right, so let's say we've got a new tooling line, so there's a small change to that. So if we go back into our flange command and use Pipette Plus, we can reactivate this upper fillet. It's referring to the current plane. So if I now change to my new plane and hit the alternative button, it refreshes the parameters and there we go. And then I can do the same for these other ones. So if I pick on this flange too, again, change my plane to my new plane and hit the alternative button, and it updates the whole flange in just one easy click. Fantastic. Here we have a useful user requested enhancement to crowning in the chamfer command. Previously, if you added any crown to a chamfer, the U order across the chamfer was automatically set to 7. This was to accurately build a chamfer to a specific radius value, whether you wanted it or not. I often like to use an order 3 in these situations, so I would add crown manually after I had created it. Now in 2022, we can fix the U order to a value as desired. We also get a new crowning deviation value, which is the deviation from the exact theoretical crowning result, distance or radius. Brilliant. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we have our model. Let's say we want to add a chamfer between the top blue surface and the outer black surfaces of this object. So here we go. So you have a little bit of a look inside. I'm just going to switch off my control points. There we go. So let's go for the chamfer command. Now we're going to set it up so blue, okay, and then we're going to go for these ones here. Okay, all done. Now if we request crowning at this stage, take a look at the approximation tab. You'll see this is where the change has come in because we're adding a crowning. So we can choose to have a crowning by distance or radius. So if we go for a distance, let's say 0.3 mil, and let's see how that's going to look with an OK. Boom, there we go. So that's a 0.3 distance crowning. So coming over to the approximation tab, you'll see that crow D, that means crowning distance, has been set to an order 3. So I can set that up to a 16 if I want to, and that's now going to make an order 16, which is a bit over the top, but just wanted to make a point. So we can go from 3 and 16 for distance. Coming back to the first tab, we can also change it to radius. Now radius is a bit different because in Bezier mathematics we need an order 7 to represent a true arc. That's how we have this extra deviation at the bottom of the diagnostic drop down. So let's see what happens if we take the default value of 10 mil for this radius of the crown. So if I press OK, okay, so you can see we do have a value here in the deviation of 0.6 of a micron. So it's a very small deviation, but it is a deviation. So if we go to our approximation tab, I can change that to a 7, and I know confidently that that is going to go right down to 0 because a 7 gives us a true arc. So let's go back down to 4 and just try something else one more time. So let's make it a lot more difficult. If we make that 6.5, because it's a 6 mil chamfer, it's going to really struggle to get that radius in there. So if I push OK, there we go, and you see it's now 2.5 microns. So let's go back to the approximation tab and choose what we want. So we could try 5. And even an order 5 will do it. So this gives us the real fine control over the order of our chamfers as we choose how we want them to be. Moving on to diagnoses now. We added the floor line analysis a couple of releases ago, but our customers highlight an issue that sometimes the cone here would skip over sharp angles and consequently give a partial result. Now we offer a new alternative triangle option which solves this problem by being able to fit into these tight spaces. Let me show you how it works. I've already done a cone-based analysis on the front of the DB car from Takumi, and you can see that the cone is struggling to get into this triangular shaped impression in the front of the car, leaving a gap in the diagnostic. Okay, it's skipping over, it just won't fit inside, but it still needs to be checked. So what we've done is we've added the new triangle to the floor line analysis. We can even change the thickness of the triangle if we want to. Rerunning the process, you see, gives a much more complete diagnostic, a better result. And here you can see the triangle adjusts itself as it slides around the contact line. So a great enhancement to floor line safety analysis. A further fantastic enhancement to safety analysis is the new capability to take into account soft materials. Let's be honest, most cars have got soft foam over many parts of the interior. The soft foam is laid over a hard substrate on the dashboard, for example, and what we can do is specify an offset in the calculation mesh to give us a more accurate and useful result when we mix hard and soft parts. Let me give you a short demo. Okay, here we have a dash with a soft squishy material on the top, a leather with foam underneath on the top. So let's do a quick analysis of this. So we'll go check safety analysis, we choose what we want. It's a general interior ECE 21 is what we're after. So I'm going to use the M shortcut for material to pick everything that is leather on the top. Okay, and then I'm going to make a second selection, and I'm just going to pick out these surfaces here, like so. That'll do for the demonstration. Okay, so if I leave everything at 0, 0, there's the offset, by the way. So I'm leaving everything at 0, 0. Let's just do my due diligence and check working with a maximum 50mm facet length. Let me check the normals are going the right way. Okay, that one needs to come out. And on the upper surface, let's do the same. Show me the normals. Line coming out, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and let's go for the OK. Let me switch off shading and we can have a closer look at what's going on. Perhaps with the facets, so I can choose to see facet view on both. Here we go. So zooming in, you can see that the mesh is not offset at all because, well, I didn't ask it to be. But if we stick on our 2-point contact point, for example, put it on here. Okay, put my shading back on. You can see that the ball is, okay, it's grazing this area, but it's blue, but that's fine. So the ball is not crushing at all. Of course, we didn't expect it to. So let me now add that crush. So we go on to the offset. So you choose the geometry you want to add the offset to, and you can just simply pull with a slider, but I'm going to type in more precisely 2mm offset. Okay, and then I'm going to rerun that diagnostic. Should be a bit quicker the second time. And there you have it. So going to my shading, put on my 2 lines, there we go. Those are the contact centers. Let's put the sphere on here, for example, there we go. And you can see straight away that it is crushing the soft leather, the foam under the soft leather. If I switch off my shading, you can see there underneath. Go back to facets. There we go. You can see more clearly. There's the offset. You can see right there. So the mesh has been offset for us by 2mm. Brilliant. And we also added these other minor but useful enhancements to safety analysis. We added the 2- and 3-point inspection with the sphere for grill analysis. We improved the detection of respect sharp bends, and when we store a section in the DB, it's given a name that correlates to the specific analysis it came from, making it easier to find and understand. We also enhanced sphere visibility with a keep option for persistent display outside of safety analysis, and also the handy delete all to get rid of all those spheres in just one click. While checking a 2 contact point analysis, we can enable snap from the interactive inspect menu, which snaps the sphere to the 3 contact point locations. That's where the red lines cross. There's the snap on the interactive menu. We can dynamically move the sphere between the 3 contact point locations rather than clicking on each point of interest, making an additional sphere each time, which can clutter up the graphics area a bit. So a very convenient and intuitive enhancement. The final small improvement is we have optimized the computing progress bar, so it only displays 1 bar and gives the user a more accurate feedback to how far along the calculations have come. Okay, so here I've done a standard exterior general minimum radius detection on this model right here, and I'm going to switch on my 2 contact point diagnostic. So these red lines indicate the center point of those spheres. So if I put the sphere on here, for example, there we are. And then I can slide it around. And you'll notice that where the red lines cross, that's where the 3-point touching points actually are. It's not sticking, it's sort of sliding right over. So I can right mouse and switch on snap like this. And then I get a really nice positive snapping. And look, you can also see that the triangular contact points are also displayed for me, so I can sort of do both at the same time. It's a really intuitive and convenient way to look at this analysis. Okay, right mouse, there's delete all, I mentioned that before. And then if we go on for 3-point, we get these red circles here. These are the where the 3-point touch points are. So previously you would have to pick each one individually like this, and you'd end up making multiple clicks to get your results. So now I can middle mouse, and I can dynamically move across these red 3 contact point locations. So nice little convenient enhancements to safety analysis. Moving into ergonomics now, here is a super enhancement to the graphical user interface. We have a new mouse menu for navigation. I can summon the new mouse menu by pressing the Shift, Alt and left mouse button. It looks like this here on the screen. Swiping up, down, left and right to the next view. And also in the middle we have the zoom all option. I really like this one. It's very quick and easy to use and saves mouse miles, as I don't need to go and choose a view from a menu or move my left hand away from its normal position. It uses the same view switching animation preferences and appears after the same delay specified in the quick function access menu. Here's a little video showing you it in action. So there's my model. Shift, Alt and left mouse key brings up the mouse menu, and I can swipe to the next standard view. It's really quick and works very, very well. And then in the middle we have view zoom all. Brilliant. Here's a handy improvement to the way we use the planes and views list menus. One single click changes to that view, and a double click changes the view and closes the menu in one action. It's the same for planes. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so I'm going to summon my views list from my quick function access menu. Here it is. And here are some views I've saved in the model. So I'm going to go for, so you see if I just click on them, the view changes immediately. And if I double click, it closes the box. So one moves to the view, double click, activates it, closes it. And the plane list works in exactly the same way. One click changes the plane, and a double click closes the dialog. Now here is something very new and exciting. Our users asked for a set of menus in VR, so I'm delighted to be revealing our first delivery of an immersive VR palette. It is just the beginning, so do please continue to feedback to us what you would like to see here in future releases of ICEMSurf. It is very easy to summon the menu in VR. Just press the menu button on the rotate controller and the menu will appear like this. And a laser-like selection beam will come out of the pan controller, allowing you to easily choose the function that you want from the menu. The immersive palette is very much like the quick function access menu. You can choose to have 4, 8 or 12 buttons, and you can easily define which functions you want by choosing them from the tablet menu. You can see that about half of the tablet command buttons can be added to your VR palette. You can also define up to 3 additional variants of the VR palette, but you do need to choose which you want before you start the VR session. A further enhancement to immersive VR is the ability to interactively define the rotation action Z-axis. Sometimes when working up close on large models, it is useful to bring the rotation axis closer to your eye point. Now we can do that in VR by activating the laser pointer on the pan controller with the menu button and simultaneously pulling the trigger on the rotate controller. This will produce a green Z-axis preview, which you can position on any geometry with the laser pointer. Let me play a short video showing you all the new VR capabilities. So going into the head-mounted display menu, here are the immersive functions, my different variants right here. This is where I can customize them, like the quick function access menu. It's very quick and easy. I can delete an option and then from my tablet choose what I'd like to go there. Starting my VR session, putting on my headset. Here's my HTC Vive Pro 2, courtesy of HTC. Here's my interactive palette. And the model you can see is kindly provided by Stellantis. And here I'm flipping through the different variants in my reference manager session. Now I put on my highlights. I've made them transparent so we can see the materials through the highlights. Looks very good. Now I'm moving closer to the model. It's a much smoother experience in the VR headset, I have to say. The video capture makes it look a little bit jerky. So here we've got the windscreen wipers on the car. These are actually scans. These are scan data, so you can switch them off and on from within VR. And here I've enabled the clip plane. I'm using the rotate function to spin the car around. Now I'm putting on my sections. There's a slight hesitation to put the sections on, but that's okay. I'm going to switch off my shading and we can have a good look at the sections in 3D. They look incredible in virtual reality. Now switching my shading back on again. Sections off. And let's take a look at the next function. So we've got the turntable action, and we can of course change the variance whilst the car is on the turntable. And finally, looking at that Z-axis rotation. So there we are. I'm moving the rotation to the little ball I've placed on the floor there. And now I'm going to go and move it back. So it's the menu button with the trigger, and you position it with the laser pointer. Next up is embed pictures. Our users told us that they needed a better way to manage the images associated with a model, the texture files, background images, environments, HDR lights, etc. There are a lot to take care of. So we now offer the convenient embed pictures option. It actually makes a zip file of all the image files referenced and embeds it inside the ICEMDB file, so you can't lose them or skip them by accident. It's brilliant. It's offered during save and export and is simpler and more convenient than the pack image information. Now here we have a fantastic new import option. It's the direct import of CATIA V5 CAT products, the assemblies. Bringing in assemblies from CATIA into the reference manager or directly into the database. It is included with the K24 base license, so now there is no need to have any kind of CATIA installation or extra licenses for it to work. Previously, we needed to use a CATIA installation to merge the different components of the assembly into one CAT part. That meant that you needed to have a V5 installation and a valid license on your PC. But now in ICEMSurf 2022, we have integrated the merging of the assembly components into the ICEMSurf import process, removing the requirement to have any additional V5 installation and license. Brilliant. So the direct import process works just as you would expect it to. Choose CATIA V5 from the File Import menu, and you can choose CAT products as well as CAT parts now. There is also an option to bring in hidden geometry if you want to. It works really well. Let me show you. Okay, here we are in V5 for this assembly of a scooter. You can see the spectrum, the different components highlighting. I'm just going to hide these nuts and bolts. And now save the model, save the CAT product. Now in ICEMSurf, I'm going to go to File Import, a CATIA V5, and you'll see that CAT product is there, as well as CAT parts when you choose V5. Now we can bring in all the usual options. There's the geometry, but there's hidden objects, so that's new. So we can bring in hidden geometry if we want to. So those pieces we hid, we can bring them in too. And here's my model. Let me adjust my lights. And if we check in Object Manager here, we can see that the full structure is inside in exactly the same way as it was in CATIA. Bringing in CAT products to Reference Manager offers us more choices. Include brings it in as one object, but Open brings in all the components as individual references and conveniently sets any hidden objects display status to passive in Reference Manager. So it depends upon what you want to do with the assembly once it's in ICEMSurf. Let's see it in action. I'm going to bring in the same CAT product that we had before, the little scooter. Here it is. And there's our geometry. I'll just move my lights again. So you can see it looks exactly the same, but this time in Reference Manager, I can switch on Reference Manager color. You can see it's just one object, one thing. So that could be useful for background information in reviews. Let's bring it again, but this time I'm going to use the Open button, exactly the same CAT product. There it is. Let me shade that up. Okay, and you can see if I open the Reference Manager structure, the hidden objects have been brought in as passive. If I make them active now, you can see the nuts and bolts are there. So I can switch them off and on very conveniently. And you'll see if I expand the groups, it's copied the assembly structure from CATIA perfectly. And here we come to the last but not least enhancement to ICEMSurf 2022, material variants. You will recall in 2021 we introduced the concept of material sets. This was the ability to group together a number of individual materials into a set and apply that set to some geometry, allowing us to easily choose from the set which material we wanted to see. For example, we could have a set called exterior paint, which could be applied to all the painted body panels, with all the exterior paint materials inside. We can then very easily visualize all the different exterior paint options by changing the current material in the set. Very quick and convenient. However, since we could have many exterior and interior material sets in a complete model, like leather, plastic, wood or metal, it can get a bit complicated keeping track of them all. So now in ICEMSurf 2022 we offer material variants. This is a very neat solution where we can record the current active material for each material set in our model into one material variant. And of course we can store multiple variants with the model. So in the example you see on screen right now, we have variant 1 and variant 2 in blue and orange. So here you can see the material editor, and in each variant there are two sets, set 1 and set 2. So variant 1, set 1 is material A, and set 2 is set to material C. And variant 2, set 1 is material B, and set 2 is material D. And you can see here, this is the new line where we can make a new, save or edit or delete our material variants. Let me show you how they work. Here we have a model with some variants already defined. If you look down the display options menu, you can see a new section here where I can choose my material variant. So I have 3 defined, finish 1, finish 2 and quite all grey. Coming into the materials editor now, here you can see that new line. So here are the material variant line, currently on finish 2. Let me change my materials and filter them to just sets. So these are all my material sets in the model. And let's take a look at this material set. I want to add a new material inside of it. So I'm going to add shiny red to the material set. There it is. And then all I need to do is double click on it and that sets it to the current material in that set. So here's another material set called trims. I'm going to add a new material to it. Shiny black. And that's appeared at the bottom of the list. And I can now make shiny black the current material in the materials set. Now that I've defined some changes, I can save this and give it a new name. So let's call it Finish Sport. So it's really easy to define a material variant, and then you can very quickly change between the different ones you've defined. Fantastic. Okay, we are approaching the finishing line now as we take a look at licensing and operating systems. No big surprises here. We of course support Windows 10 64-bit, and if you're using ICEMSurf 2022 you need to use DSLS 2022X. And if you're still using the Theorem licenses, you will need FlexNet 11.8 as usual. And finally, don't forget we offer special ICEMSurf licenses for schools and universities. Follow these links to get the academic information, and we also offer a special homework edition for students who are studying ICEMSurf. They just need to go to their teacher or professor, who can contact us to get their license and software download information. I really hope you've enjoyed discovering all the great new enhancements to ICEMSurf 2022. You can find us on LinkedIn and YouTube, but for the best experience, please come and join our free CATIA creative design and styling community, where you can meet the experts, ask questions, and share your designs with fellow ICEMSurf and CATIA fans. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.